Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio.
This is Home Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
So I'm live on the weekends too, so it's all live. Yeah, you got to come up with something different than that, huh? I don't know what that means. Okay, whatever he wants, I don't care. I'm just Tom Tynan who answers questions, and we answer questions when it comes to homeowner survival, from the outside to the inside. We have great sponsors, which we call Certified Home Show Pros. And we've got our website, which is totally free. You don't have to buy a membership. And we have the weekend show on Sports Radio 610, including what we're doing now, Charlie, which is YouTube and Facebook. Is that right?
That is correct. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I've got.
I can hear you now. Yes.
I've got a bunch of people came in and said, "Charlie, we can't hear you," and I realized that.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I did a great speech. If y'all didn't hear it,
it was the best. It was the best 3 minutes of the show so far.
Promise you.
Okay. Now what happened is we changed out. We are having a little challenge. We're going through a little growth thing here with this video thing. We're changing out our technology a little bit. And I used to use a different mic. Now we're using this mic. And the computer didn't know to look for this microphone. So
that computer.
Yeah. All right. What we're doing here this morning, we're going to have, by the way, a special guest. I'm going to sneak him on. He wasn't expecting us to do this, but I'm going to put him on here just for fun. We've got David Williamson looking studious in his chair there at home, and he'll be our guest here in a little while. David's with RCW Nurseries and Williamson Tree Farm, and he'll be here to talk about growing green and all the things that are going on in your yard and everything you've seen the past 70 plus days you've been held hostage in your house. And in that theme, David has decided to take the hostage kind of look there with his setting, so that's perfect. All right, we're going to talk ceramic tiles. We're going to talk caulking, sunken living rooms. And but first, Tom, we're going to talk about a little ductless dilemma one of our viewers is having. And by the way, thank you to everybody for flagging us on the mic issue. If you have a question and you'd like to have it on the program, all you have to do is go enter comments at the bottom, whether on YouTube or Facebook, and it'll show up here on the screen, and we can process it here on the show, and Tom can answer your questions live right here as part of the broadcast. So let's get to the first one we got from the Ask Tom box at HomeShowRadio.com. This one comes from Josh in Spring Hill, Louisiana. Tom, he says, my 3-bedroom house cools fine except for the master in the back. I had my ducts checked and sealed, and that helps some, but not the master. Even though the living room freezes, we can't cool the master. If I got a ductless like I saw in your video, how would that affect my main AC? I mean, would I have to close the vents to my master, Tom?
I don't think he needs a ductless because he's getting too much capacity on one side of the house and not enough on another. So the system is probably more than adequately sized. It's going to be what we call static pressure problems in the ductwork where it needs to be balanced, whether you need to add some return airs back there in the bedroom, whether you need to damper down the rest of the house. Just because you had them sealed doesn't make a hill of beans when it comes to unbalanced systems. It needs to be redirected. And so I don't know about Louisiana because I don't live there. I know here in Houston who to call. Find someone who can balance your system. You don't need to buy more equipment. What you need to do is get your equipment that you have running properly.
And that a static test, is that where they put that thing, the big vent thing up on the ceiling and
well, it starts inside the system. They want to see how much airflow is going. And then what you're talking about, that measuring machine that goes on each register, they're going to use those two to find out how much airflow is going into each room. So it's a whole combination of things. Then they have to design a way to move the air to the right spot. It's just going to the wrong spot. That's all.
Fair enough. Now, if you have a question you want to ask Tom, you go visit our Facebook page and fill out the Ask Tom, not the comment area at the bottom. That's what happens when you have two guys over 60 trying to explain social media.
Yeah, I don't even try.
So anyway, but
smile.
you know who did that is Jimmy Job here. Jimmy John, who's a regular follower of the show. He says, I want to replace my fence and I need an opinion, Tom, on whether treated pine or cedar makes sense. He says, I'm leaning towards cedar, no pun intended. I got my original builder installed fence falling apart thanks to them not cementing the post in the ground just right. Just straight in the ground, he says, nope, nothing else, and the posts are now rotting left and right. Tom, what's the solution for Jimmy Job?
Well, the structure is going to be pressure treated, and the posts, everything else, it needs to be put in properly. So that's a no-brainer. Right there, you're in good shape. But you're going to have a rot board across the bottom. I like to use a 2x12. It's a little more pricey, but it really does keep the whole bottom of the fence protected. And so that's going to be pressure treated too. Now, when it comes to the pickets, you can use either or, but here's what you got to watch out for. With cedar today, a lot of it's coming from overseas. It's not full dimensional lumber. It's undersized. It's super cheap. They're using it for fences, and it doesn't last very long. So if you're going to use cedar, you have to upgrade and buy domestic cedar pickets. They're thicker. They're more dense. They come from an older forest, and they really hold up a lot better. So if you're going to use cedar, use domestic. If not, you can use pressure treated, which is fine. I like the pressure treated because, the cedar can get pricey, and it's still going to turn all gray and everything anyway. So as long as you design for the pressure treated, that's fine too. But the most important thing, you can have either or, structure all pressure treated, put in properly, not just in the ground. And you make sure you use domestic if you're going to buy cedar for the pickets.
Because it's the thicker picker-upper for fencing.
It's a 1/4 inch thicker. Yeah, the stuff coming overseas is a 1/2 inch, and a good cedar picket's going to be a full 3/4.
And we're in the process right now of having our side fence replaced, working with our neighbor to do that. And they've got a beautiful pool in their backyard. And I told Sandy,
okay,
I've got a program for you, Sandy. Let's not put the fence up and just get pool rights for our neighbor's house. That's what we're going to do. All right. Our next question, by the way, thank you, Jimmy, for the question. And if you all got a question, go ahead or if you just want to say hi, go ahead and check in with us in the comments below. All right. Next question from the Ask Tom box comes from TF in Cypress, Texas. He says, I have ceramic tile floors. And did you say before that wet mopping without soap or cleaners is the best way to clean these floors, Tom?
I'm renting a place now in Brownsville where I'm working, during the week. And it all has tile, and the grout has been destroyed. It's all different colors and stuff. I mean, it's still okay. It's holding up. But I know that's from people that slop mop their floors. If you take a tile floor with a nice, clean, brand new grout, and you start using all these different cleaners with the acids and the alcohols in them, and you start mopping, it's just going to tear up the grout over time, and the grout's going to look horrible. Then everybody blames the grout. The best way to clean tile is vacuum. You vacuum all the schmutz up. And then if you have a place where you have a stain where somebody spilt something or whatever, yeah, you can clean that with water. That's fine. But don't slop mop tile. It destroys the grout, even the water alone. If you just keep saturating it with water, it pulls the dyes out of the grout. And after a while, it's going to look horrible. Vacuum all the time. Get yourself one of those little battery vacuums and vacuum up all the stuff. And if you have a spot, you can use a little wet Swiffer. Just clean that little area up. But don't slop mop your tile.
You have got your poet mode on today because you had thicker pickets before. Now you got slop mop. I can't wait.
Slop mop. Just like in the Navy on the ships.
Tom's going to be doing slam poetry home improvement this weekend on Sports Radio 610. So, all right, got one more from one of our viewers here. Craig Miller's with us. Good morning, Craig. Thank you for joining us. He says, any suggestion on what to use to clean stucco? I have green spots on my house, and my mailbox has some heavy black residue. What's your advice, Tom?
A nice, gentle pressure wash is all it needs. It's got dirt on it. Then the mildew and the mold and stuff will grab to the dirt, and it'll start to grow. All that's little weird things, depending, depending what association it has with the sun, and if you have trees over it, and if you have a lot of pollution in your neighborhood, you live inner city, that's the black stuff. But as far as it goes, it's time, and I've been saying this over the last few months, it's time to give your house a wash. You can call Rudy's Quality Painting in Houston. That's fine. You can do it yourself. You don't have to wash it hard. But this is the time of year. It's time to wash your house.
Give it a bath.
Yeah. Like your car, like your body, like everything else. Wash your house.
Well, I've been washing my
every
hands.
week.
I'm supposed to wash all of me?
Wash your hands. Wash the hands.
Right.
Yes,
Our
every 12 minutes.
next question comes from Aaron in Katy. He says, when painting the exterior of my house, what type of caulk should I use around the windows? And should I remove the old caulk around them or just fill in the holes? What do you say, Tom?
If you can get the old stuff out and it's really dry, get it out. Not all of it. Just get what you can. Excuse me. And door and window caulking is really good for the exterior. Don't use what they call painter's caulk. It's just a latex. It'll dry up and it'll be a mess. So you want to use something with silicone in there. So it's going to be an acrylic latex with silicone. It's labeled a lot, door and window. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. Let's get our last question here from the Ask Tom box. And of course, we're going to be joined in just a minute here by David Williamson from RCW and Williamson Tree Farm, and he's going to answer your greenie questions. So if you have some of those, go ahead and put those in the questions section below, and we'll ask those of him as well. All right, the last one here comes from Jared in Richwood, Texas. He says, I have a 4-inch below the rest of the slab living sunroom. He says, the house was built in the 1950s. If I wanted to level that with the rest of the house, could I fill that in with concrete, or would that just cause the rest of the foundation to crack or sink, Tom?
It won't affect the foundation at all. And that's how you fix those sunken living rooms and all these things that they did in the late 50s and early 60s to, the yellow shag carpet and the green shag and all that fun stuff that was happening back then. But as far as that goes, we have a visitor. No kidding. Anyway, yes, fill it with concrete and just screed it to the top and do what you want to do with it. You had a visitor, Tom? Actually, well, David did. He's got his picture over here, and somebody's waving at me in the picture. Hang on a second. I think that you guys didn't see it, David, but I did. David Williamson from RCW Nurseries and Williamson Tree Farm. Get your bride back in to wave hi. Now that she's on camera, have her come say hi. This is a beautiful bride. Come on in here, Charlie. It's like having Chad walk into the office when you're doing the show. And that's it was very distracting. I had to do this. Well, let me go ahead and explain what we're doing here. In a moment, we're going to be joined here by one of our home show pros. Say hi. Hang on one second. There is David Williams from RCW. He's like our home show pros. You go and click on them right there on our homepage, and you find his page and videos and stuff to help you with them. And we come back, and here's David just arriving now. Is she with you? Is she coming back, or is she doing her hair? Back. Oh, hang on. Let me go to one shot. There you go. Hello. It's in his ear. Okay. Well, we're only saying nice things, so tell her. All right.
She's only saying nice things.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do here is, David, what's that? Uh-oh.
He likes the bats.
Okay.
He likes the bats.
She likes your backyard.
All right. Well, we're gonna. Oh, thank you very much. We're gonna move on now. We're gonna move on now. This ends the decorating portion of our program. We're gonna get to questions. All right. So, Dave, we've got a bunch of questions that came in, and of course, we're live. If people want to add their questions in the comments section, we'd love to get them and include you in part of the show. Here's our first question for you. It comes from Martha in Tomball. She says, "I'm getting ready to replant 2 beds that have had old shrubbery removed, and they need healthy soil to plant in. What do you recommend to refurbish these beds? And also, I'm not at all talented in deciding what to plant. What would you recommend? I need a plan."
Well, first of all, revamp the soil. If the plants are really old, take out this old soil, add in compost and landscape mix to refresh the beds. And then you can come to RCW. You can bring pictures. We can help you design on site there. If you want to do it yourself, or if you want someone else to do it, we can do it for you as well. So it's really up to them. So as far as plants, it depends if it's sun or shade or both, or if it's she wants something that's going to be low maintenance, evergreen. There's quite a few options.
David, when people are losing hedges and plants in their beds, like I just lost 2. I have to come see you. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what to look for, but I have some clippings. Is it good to bring the clippings in and say, hey, I need one of these? You know,
for sure.
Yeah,
Pictures
nobody knows the name of this stuff, you know?
Plant samples
Yes.
and plant samples and pictures are great. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely help us to identify. And we
And what if
do
you
our
see
best.
some plants other neighbors have? What do you think? Bring in pictures of their plants?
Right.
Say, "What's this?"
Unless they don't mind you coming over there to just take a cutting.
No, they don't
Right.
care. Take
Yeah,
a
you
picture
might
of
not
it.
want to like get pictures of plants they have in the backyard inside the fence or something, but you know, something in the
that's
front is okay.
Hey, that happens all the time when people bring in pictures of other neighbors' yards
Uh-huh.
and say, "What is this? I want this in my yard." So that happens a lot.
Okay, well, that's kind of help. I mean, that's landscaping with them.
Right.
Now, David, I imagine that when somebody brings you that picture and they want to talk to you about the yard, you're going to want to know which way it faces, how much sun they're getting, and things like that. These are going to be factors in what you choose, right?
Definitely, sure. And if they have trees there providing shade, and if it's a wet area, or if it drains well, it's all those kinds of questions we need to ask.
Okay. Got another question for you here that came in. We've got it. This is from Aaron and Katie. I've been told not to use Weed and Feed by friends. I think he must have gotten caught using it. He says, what would you recommend for St. Augustine grass instead?
Well, we don't recommend Scott's bonus sets. That's got the Weed and Feed with atrazine, which atrazine can stay in your grass and leach into your soil and affect your trees. So we don't recommend anything with atrazine in it. There are uses for atrazine, but it's more for spot treating weeds and areas that you can't control. But the best there's Bonide Weed Beater, which is a great liquid weed killer that's has Trimac in it, and it kills most of your broadleaf weeds. And also treating with your grass 2 to 3 times a year with a pre-emergent to prevent seed weeds from coming back year after year. And weeds spread. If you mow your own lawn, they usually don't spread. But if you have someone that maintains your lawn, it can spread from your yard guy. So from their blades, they'll spread weed seeds all over. So the pre-emergence is a good preventative, like barricade 3 times a year, and then spot treating with weed beater or to kill over the top of St. Augustine, and then using a nitrophos fertilizer or microlife fertilizer for your fertilizer.
David, I get good results with your microlife. I buy a ton of it from you. And it seems like the stronger your yard is, the less problem you have with weeds. And I think a lot of people are so into getting rid of the weeds that they forget about the grass itself. This is what I see.
Well, yeah, I think it's the microlife helps the soil, and the soil is the key, what you can't see. If you can get your soil strong, your grass is going to do better. So I think the microlife really helps the soil, and then it benefits the grass as well.
We have the Danny on the Garden Pros show that comes on before Tom on Saturday. He's a big proponent of compost top dressing. Is that the kind of thing you would do? And can you explain what that means for people who maybe haven't listened to Danny's show? What is compost top dressing?
You get like a leaf mold compost or a fine compost that's not too heavy, and then you can do it, either aerate your grass with an aerator. You can rent one of those things, or do it by hand if you have a small yard, with some type of pitchfork or something to penetrate the grass, and then put the top dress on top. You don't want to put it too thick where you cover up too much grass, because you can suffocate your grass. But doing it once or twice a year once a year is enough. But it's a heavy job if you have a big yard.
I'm here to
beneficial.
testify. Sandy has been doing it with our yard, and the difference has just been like phenomenal.
Yeah, and there's several varieties of leaf mold compost that you can use. So,
all right, and you recommend, you have those there at RCW naturally?
Yes, we sure do.
Okay.
Do you actually do top dressing for people?
No, we don't do that. No.
Okay, just curious. I never asked you before.
No, never done that yet. So it's we've only done it occasionally when we've done landscape jobs and someone's asked me to do it, and we go, because we don't own a aerator. We have to go rent one of those things.
I see.
So
our next question comes from Kelly in Pearland. She says, parts of my yard are turning a fluorescent green. What is causing that, David?
It could be a couple of things. It could be lack of nitrogen. Nitrogen is one of your fastest nutrients that goes through your yard and keeps your yard green. So if it gets we've had too much rain. If you have a whole lot of washout, but it's saturated, the grass is saturated, it'll bleach out the nitrogen, which will cause the light green color. But you can hit it with something like sweet green or something with a high nitrogen that'll help green it back up. It's usually water and lack of nitrogen.
So it's not drugs.
No.
No, okay. I just wondering. Maybe the mushrooms or something. I don't know how to follow up on this one when someone says something is a different green, because I see greens all different ways. But
well, it's not easy. It's not easy being green.
Overgreen a yard real fast.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's also, it raises the interesting question, like you're saying, what are you feeding your lawn, and what are you not feeding it, David, to make you get that? I think there's no topic that people are more passionate about on any of the garden programs, especially Danny's show, than lawns. We talk about lawns, the phones light up. I think everybody loves them.
Like David, some of these fertilizers people are buying in the home improvement stores, aren't they heavy nitrogen just because they get instant satisfaction, and that's what the guy who's developing it wants the people to keep buying it for that instant gratification?
Like crack, right? So it's
like crack. Okay, we'll stay on the drug thing. I like it.
For your grass, but we use a product called NitroPhos Super Turf, and it's a slow release nitrogen.
Yeah, it's
got a high number, but it's a slow release, so it doesn't release all at one time, which you want over a 3 to 6 month period.
Okay.
But like my yard I got a lot of slope, and I fertilized recently, but we've had so much rain.
Just washed off.
It looks fluorescent as well, so.
Well, at least you know where to get a good deal on that stuff.
Right.
Okay.
He knows a guy. All right. Last question for David says, is there a trick? I love this one. Because Heather out in Splendor says, is there a trick to keep armadillos and crawdads out of my flower beds?
Well, armadillos are going after ants and termites and grubs, so they're looking for those things. So if you could put an insecticide out like bug out. You can trap them. Bug out will help kill the ants, help kill the grubs, and it'll help prevent, sort of. But when they're looking for food, that's what they're looking for. Crawdads, I don't know how to get rid of those. I never had a big problem with those. I mean, eat them.
Eat them. Nice.
I don't know. I've never had a crawdad problem, so I've never had that question asked to me. So armadillos, I see that issue a lot. But.
Charlie, when you said crawdads, when you asked the question, just like David doesn't know, I thought, what a crawdad? Nobody has crawdads in their yard.
Crawfish.
So there's got to be some special situation. Nobody's going to be able to answer that. I'm sorry.
I'm thinking there's a misclassification of the crawdad or what have you. That
crawfish, crayfish.
Crawfish. That's it. There's crawfish in her yard. She has maybe you may have an irrigation issue. I don't know. You've got crawfish in your yard.
They don't eat the. I don't think crawfish eat roots though. I don't think they are detrimental to your plants, or just they're a nuisance in the yard more than anything.
Well, it's like we had another question that somebody's asking about mushrooms, and I mean, isn't that is that a moisture issue when they start getting mushrooms in their yard?
The thing is with mushrooms, that's a good sign if you have good soil. Yeah. So, I mean, you have good microbes in your grass or your yard for mushrooms to grow. Just rake them out. You don't like them, rake them out.
No, you know what? You remember John Burrow?
Yeah.
Come on, you remember John Burrow, right? You know what he told me to do with the mushrooms? He said, get your 5-iron and practice.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that's what he told me one time.
I know, that's fun, too.
I just got a hold of my breath. John was a colorful guy. I wasn't sure exactly where you're going with that one. All right. Well, David, I can't thank you enough for being with us this morning. And I know this has been quite a spring for the nursery business. And again, imagine the tree business up at the tree farm as well. What's going up at RCW?
I mean, the business has been crazy. It's people want to get out. They come to the nursery to visit, even if they don't buy anything, they can at least get out of the house and walk around. We have 3 or 4 acres to do that. Things that people are working on their yards. They're doing vegetable gardens. They're planting fruit trees. That's their biggest request is fruit trees and citrus trees. which is short supply for us right now. But in the tree farm, it's steady too. And we don't advertise to retail customers up there, but they are coming up there. We either word of mouth or just walking in and seeing if we're open to people. And it's the commercial landscape part of it has not slowed down at all. So the tree farm is still doing well. And we're trying to do our due diligence as far as keeping our social distancing, doing the proper things there, and so people feel comfortable coming in. So,
You're seeing a lot of new gardeners, I imagine.
Oh yeah, a lot of millennials, a lot of young people.
Good.
Millennials,
Yeah,
the batteries have run down on their devices, and so they're going to garden.
What's the one below a millennial? I don't even know all the terminology, but yeah.
Those
like
guys.
The young people are
It's those guys.
Yeah, they're definitely coming and getting more involved in gardening.
If you want to get involved,
during this whole crisis we've had, my daughter started, because she lives in an apartment in Denver. She has herb gardens throughout her apartment, and she never grew a thing in her life. And she's just having a great time learning all about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's great. Well, David, thank you for being here. I want to just let everybody know that if you're looking to find him, you go to our website where we have all our Home Show Pros. Scroll down and you'll find the RCW button. You have to look for it. These juggle every time we put them up, and then find RCW, and that's what his page looks like on the show. Thanks again for being with us this morning, David.
Thanks, David.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries.
Bye-bye.
Now, if you'd like to get your question on the show, visit HomeShowRadio.com and click on that Ask Tom button, fill it in, and send it in, because we've run out of time to take your questions live today. And the nice thing about this is you can attach a picture, and our production team loves when you attach pictures. And you can see those videos. We post a new one at HomeShowRadio.com every day, and we'll also put them on our Facebook page, as you'll see if you go up and down the timeline here, or on our YouTube channel over on the U of Tubes. So that's our deal. So Tom, big weekend this for you coming up.
Big weekend, like every weekend. It's the big show, the big ride.
That's it.
Yep, of course. On Sports Radio 610, we got Danny from 7 to 9, the gardening guy. We're gonna expand. He'll expand on the conversation we just had with David, no doubt about it, and go all kinds of places you want to go. And I can tell you, he's got some good info, because he helped me save my pear and my apple trees, and it worked. As far as me, 9 to 12 on Saturday, 8 to 11 on Sunday. Charlie will be doing Sunday morning for at least a half hour to 45 minutes, however it works out. And it's all going to be on Sports Radio 610, and it won't cost you a penny.
That's right. This weekend, all calls are free.
All calls are free.
But
is the website. It's a special. This weekend only. The website is free for the rest of your life if you visit one time this weekend.
Right. No charge, no credit card needed. That's exactly right. Nope. All right. That's it for this week of our Facebook Live Thursdays at 8:45. We'll be back again next week with another gala broadcast. And our guest next week is going to be Jason Whittington from Texas Floors. So if you want to talk about floors, Jason will be here to do that. We thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe and follow our YouTube page. Follow our Facebook. We appreciate you doing that. And, of course, send your questions in to Ask Tom, and we'll